So I've spent $10 million on Google Ads, and I'm here to share what I've learned and what works for me in 2023. But maybe let me just clarify about the 10 mil. We run a lot of Google ad campaigns. Some of those companies spend up to 70 grand a month. That might be just in one city. We also look after companies that are much smaller, startups, sole traders that might spend under $1,000 a month with Google Ads. So we manage campaigns of anything in between. Most of those campaigns are local businesses. It's something that I find more rewarding. It's something that I'm much more passionate about. The smaller local tradies, builders, arborists. We look after dental practices. We do a lot in accounting, in finance, and medical. These days we're pretty careful what kind of campaigns we take on, but I'm here to share my experiences still actively running these campaigns today and what we've learned over the years. So let's make sure we're on the same page here. I'm going to explain what Google Ads are in a basic form. So Google Ads, formerly known as Google AdWords, is a means for a business to pay per click for anybody searching something on Google. So if people are searching for keywords that will lead to business for you, Google Ads might be suitable for you. So believe it or not, Google receives almost 9 billion searches a day, which is crazy. So people are looking for something. Google Ads is a form of reactive marketing. Reactive marketing means they are looking for something. We can show up and show them something suitable, hopefully to them. Currently, Google Ads is tracking for $85 billion in ad revenue. Now, that is a crazy year-on-year growth for the last 23 years that Google Ads has existed. So they definitely work. So with Google Ads, we're basically able to show up at the top of Google for a certain keyword. We're able to pay for that visitor to land on our website or engage with our ad, whether it's click our phone number that will be at the top of Google or direct them to a hopefully sales landing page that will convert them and begin building a relationship with your brand and your business. Now, hopefully that moves to a lead that converts to new business. The thing with Google Ads is if they don't click, you don't pay. Google are pretty good these days at not running ads that are not suitable or not running ads that will deliver a bad experience. Google's job is to keep people using Google, right? So if the ad is delivering a bad experience, it's misleading, a lot of the time that ad won't run in the first place. And if it does, Google will make sure that you're aware of it. They will charge you more or simply take down your ad and flag you for a certain policy violation. So the way I want you to look at Google Ads and costing, the more valuable a keyword is, a key term is, the more costly it might be. So the more value it might bring to a business and the more potential revenue and profit it might bring to a business, you'd expect that key term to be worth a lot more. For example, the term, what is the time? Or what is the weather? It's not really worth much. There's not much there that we can sell, but it is a term that gets a lot of traffic. Compared to, say, injury lawyer or dentist, locksmith, emergency electrician, Google Ads is a form of reactive marketing. Reactive marketing means they are looking for something, whereas Facebook ads, for example, is intrusive marketing. They're on their device and they're not expecting your ad. They're not looking for your ad, but your ad can show up. And that's the major difference between running a Google ad campaign and running a Facebook ad campaign. Both can fail and both can succeed. It just depends on the industry and the space. So the thing to know with Google Ads is every key term has a different value and a different cost associated to it. It will depend heavily on how competitive that key term is, how much potential revenue and value that key term may bring to a business. And everything is to do with the intent of that term. So if someone's Googling, what is the weather or what is the time, that term might get lots of traffic, but that term may not bring a lot of value to someone that's going to pay for that term. We could sell watches, but the intent is I just want to find out the time and I'm out of here. Whereas a term like injury lawyer or emergency dental care, emergency electrician, emergency locksmith, all of a sudden the intent there is, hey, I'm in trouble, I have a problem, it needs to be solved at 2 or 3 in the morning, you'd expect for those terms to be far more competitive. So to give you some examples, let's say an injury lawyer can pay from $50 to $100 per click, right? So we're talking your $1,000 budget a month will get eaten in a matter of an hour. Less, what are we talking about? 30 seconds, done. So the key is that correct targeting is essential. Most campaigns that I see fail because the business owner has gone trigger happy and loaded up a whole bunch of key terms that they want to show up for, and Google's just gone to town with your credit card and spent your budget and sent you a whole bunch of traffic, but like that, what is the time or what is the weather keyword, that traffic is maybe useless. So hopefully we get a basic understanding of what Google Ads are, a super basic understanding of how they work, and it's really important that you understand that in every industry there will be a different cost of entry to market, a different cost per click and a cost per lead. So we might need 10 clicks for one inquiry. It's usually from 1 to 5 clicks for one inquiry, but one inquiry does not necessarily mean a closed business. A lot of tire kickers, and the expectations that I generally set is you will receive 99% of tire kickers. I'd rather set that expectation and 1 in every 3rd lead convert. So if we just run the numbers here for a second, each click is, let's say, $10. We need 3 clicks for an inquiry, so that's $30. But we might need 3 inquiries for a closed job or a booked job. So we're talking almost $100 for that job to be closed. Now, what could that job be? So depending on who you are, your industry, we'll take a builder, for example. Now, we all know how much homes cost. Let's take a arborist, for example. They could be booked for a super basic trim this hedge for an old lady, or they could be booked to take down 15 palm trees. So every business needs to understand their average client value. So if you receive 5 inquiries and you book 5 jobs in your business, whatever those jobs are, whether you're a tradie, whether you're a roofer or a solar installer or a dentist, you should generally know the average value you will receive from that client, the profit you will receive from that client. And that will help you understand what is a suitable Google Ads budget, what is a suitable marketing budget, because that helps you understand, hey, this stuff costs a lot, but the return is much higher. And hopefully the Google ad will be positively geared from day one. But that's never the expectation that I set. We always say that, hey, in many campaigns, Google ads are not positively geared, especially early on when we're ironing out the landing page, when we are ironing out the keyword targeting and the intent behind that keyword. Some campaigns now, several years on, are still negatively geared. So we might spend $150 for a lead. We might need 5 of those leads for a booked business. So there might be a pretty substantial loss on that booked job. However, if you do a good service, clients have a tendency to return. Plus, a good example might be is teeth whitening. For years, dentists have used teeth whitening as a loss leader. So the teeth whitening is $80, it's $100, it's free, just come in. When they're providing that service, they then get an opportunity to show themselves, show how good they are, upsell them, cross-sell them, and while they're in there, you need this and this. So there are many ways to look at a Google ad, and where I see most Google ads fail is throwing a lot of keywords at the campaign. Could be a lot of money at the campaign. So throwing more money at the campaign just multiplies the condition of that campaign. So if the campaign is rubbish, you'll just multiply that rubbish and you'll burn your cash quicker. So most of that $10 million that I've spent running Google ad campaigns has gone into local businesses, mostly in trades, in medical, in finance. I've got my Google ad account open here. So tradie services, things like builders, construction. We do a lot for arborists, roofing and repairs, renovations, garden fit outs, garage fit outs, garden renovations, garden maintenance, pest control, residential and commercial cleaning, security systems, CCTV, concrete, plastering. So in the education space, medical space, finance space, let me have a look at these campaigns, legal, accounting, bookkeeping, financial advisory, medical clinics, dentists, specialist surgeries, private schools, childcares, podiatrists, luxury rehabs. I'm literally looking at my Google Ads data right now. We've also spent quite a lot on fitness, hospitality, well-being, weddings. That's the big one, especially in Facebook ads, and I'll explain a little bit why. So things like fitness gyms, boxing gyms, restaurants, cafes, cake shops, wedding suppliers, wedding venues, funeral homes, and many more. So I'm here to share what I've learned, and I'm here to share what works and what doesn't for me, right? There's unlimited ways that you guys can run Google ad campaigns. There are many digital marketing strategies. They all can work and they all can fail. It's really important early on to understand the difference between a Google ad and a Facebook ad or a TikTok ad or an Instagram ad, okay? Because a lot of business owners will Google a list of online marketing services and then just say, we need this and this, having no idea the differences between them. So this is really big because you could, if you're in the wrong industry, a Google ad might be better than a Facebook ad. It might be best to run both, or it might be best to run one. So to give you a very quick example, Google ads is a form of reactive marketing. So somebody Googles for something, someone looks for something, we can pay Google and pay for that visitor. So we react to their action. They need a plumber, they need an electrician, they need a dentist. They have some sort of a problem they need to solve. They're looking for it, we show up. That's Google ads. Facebook ads is intrusive marketing. Intrusive marketing means they are not actively looking for what we're trying to sell them. So you can imagine someone is on their phone or they're watching TV and they're just killing some time and they're scrolling, right? And then bang, our ad can show up. Now, they might not need door replacements or an emergency locksmith at that time, but they might have pets, or they might have kids, or they might have been just recently engaged. What happens when someone on Facebook gets a pet? What happens when someone on Facebook has a newborn, right? They post photos. And Facebook knows that you have cats, dogs, parrots, raccoons. Facebook knows that you have a child that's 6 months old. You've got a newborn. You've got a child that's 10 months old. Facebook knows when you change your relationship status to engaged. Now that makes you a category on Facebook that advertisers like me can advertise to. So if I've got clients in the wedding space, you generally need a wedding venue, you need a wedding photographer. So I'm running Facebook ads targeting those people, and I'm showing them visuals of the beautiful venue, previous photos that the photographer has taken, right? And so you're more likely to inquire. Google Ads works in that space as well because people will search for best wedding photographer or wedding venue. So that's where both can work. So to explain Facebook ads, again, the core audiences that Facebook allows you to target are things like demographics, age, gender, education, job title, right? You can target based on location, so a country, a city, or a radius around a specific point. So to give you an example, I've been running ads in Asia for the last, I think it's from 2017 now, and we're selling them Australian product for someone in Asia. You can target based on hobbies, interests. You can even target based on pages that they like on Facebook. Now, in America, you can even target based on how much they earn, if they're a homeowner, and other things. In Australia, it's quite limited. So the categories are more limited in Australia than they are in America. Hopefully that explains the basics of it. So where I've personally ran a lot of Facebook ads where there is a clear target. I don't like running Facebook ads when there's not a specific target. So if we are a pet business, we have pet products, we pet groomers, there's a category on Facebook has pets. And generally you like cat photos if you like cats. Same with education, right? So we have clients in the tutoring space, we have clients in the music space, we also look after private schools. So it's natural to run an ad within a certain kilometer radius of that school or that tutor with some visual copy. It's targeted at parents because the category is parent with a 5-year-old, parent with a 10-year-old. Some basic copy might be, don't let your child fall behind, right? Help your child get ahead. Super generic ad copy. You can take the lead on Facebook or you can take them out to a landing page, which is what we always do. And we can track a conversion, and that gives us an understanding of how much money we need to spend with Facebook or Google for a lead or a booked client. So do Google ads even work, and how difficult are they? So I've spent $10 million on Google ads in the last few years, and I'm here to share what I've learned. Google ads are really hard. They really are. The Google ads platform has existed for 23 years. And these days in any somewhat competitive space, you're going to have professional agencies that are experienced running these ads, gunning for a specific amount of key terms that they've already ironed out for many years. So on the other side, Google Ads revenue is about to hit, I think, something like $85 billion, which is a crazy year-on-year growth. So they definitely work, but they're harder than they've ever been before because the Google Ad algorithm has changed so much. It changes several times a year, and not just minor changes. These are big changes with the shift of AI, with Google changing where they display what. Things are always changing. So when Google Ads was first released, it was simply who paid more. You pay more, you get the real estate. Then we had some really bad behavior. They still do dodgy things. Just Facebook and Google are much, much better at not allowing those campaigns to fire up in the first place. It's quite difficult to set up an ad these days. You have to go through certain verifications, especially if you're in the finance space. Many keywords are completely banned, even though they might have good intentions. So 23 years of Google Ads, and I've been running them for 10, no, more. What are we talking about? 15. I've spent more than 20,000 hours running them, building landing pages, building websites, as well as other digital marketing services. So in my experience, and my experience is most of the 10 mil is spent on local business key terms, things like pest control, builders, tradies, medical practices, dentists, where there is a localized key term. So someone is in Brighton, they want to build a home, right? So they're going to look for a builder. They're searching from Brighton, which is Bayside in Melbourne. If I have builder clients, which we do, we run the Google ad and we're only hitting those specific audiences. So that campaign to me is far more predictable and these days far easier than if I was to tackle a campaign to run Google ads for shoes or t-shirts or cosmetics. Not to say that it won't work, I just wouldn't take that campaign on these days. So we're pretty confident in our ad running ability for the campaigns that we've got experiences on because we've got data. We know which keywords work. We know which negative keywords we need to put in there. We know what kind of landing pages need to be built and the kind of conversion tracking that needs to be set up. So there's clarity on whether this campaign works. It takes months to really get that stable cost per lead, but they definitely do work. So with Google Ads, it's really important to understand that every industry has a different cost of entry to market, right? So similar, if you would like to build or buy a home in a specific suburb, there's an average cost of that property. Same with Google Ads. Every industry has a different cost per click and a cost per lead, and that's determined by how competitive that is, which is to do with how profitable that key term might be, how much revenue that key term might drive to the business. So when looking at Google Ads, you need to understand your own figures of if you receive 10 of the most average clients, what is the profit that you'll get? What is the revenue that you'll get? What will you get from those converted clients? And once you understand that figure, it's much easier to understand how much money needs to be thrown at Google Ads or thrown at digital marketing, or whether it be Facebook ads or SEO or other things. So unlimited amount of times have I had scenarios where, oh geez, that's expensive per click. But the line I always say to my clients, don't worry about that cost per click. Yeah, that cost per click might be $50. It might be $200, but as long as the service that you're selling is positively geared or over the life of that service, whether you're an accountant that's setting up an SMSF and you need to audit that SMSF, or you're a builder and you're about to build a home. Homes cost what, $200-300 grand to build now. All of a sudden that $50 cost per click isn't so bad. Now we might need 5 clicks. We might need 10 clicks for a booked job, but you work out the numbers. Everyone is in a different industry and you need to know your numbers first. So it's pretty clear that the more competitors, the more expensive it might be cost per click, the more expensive it might be cost per lead, but then also the better and more competitive the landing pages are. The way I want you to look at Google Ads is it's like a never-ending auction. It's like auction of a house. If there are more participants bidding on those key terms, the higher the key term will go for, right? But it's not just who has more money. It's also there are lots of factors here and I don't want to overload, but a best way I can explain it is who will deliver the best engagement from their ad, right? So Google will look at the way people engage with your ad. So if they send you a visitor and they see that visitor scroll through the landing page or scroll through the website, engage with your ad, whatever, it might be a video, then they will see that they may have clicked the number to call your business, or they've filled out a form, or they've watched a video. That means that this landing page has delivered some sort of a good experience. A bad experience might be, okay, it's loading too slow, see you later, they back out. So that's called the bounce rate. Or they land on it, they skim, they back out, means this is not relevant. A good example of this is if we run an ad on the term dogs, but we take them out to a page that's about cats. Now, Google generally these days won't let you run that, because even before the Google ad gets turned on, Google will visit your website, visit the page, they'll send a crawler. It's like a little robot, and the robot scans your site from top to bottom. Now, that robot is very smart, but that robot can also be very dumb. So one of the most important things that it looks for are titles, right? So if you're running an ad for dogs or dog cleaning, dog grooming, you might run the title, affordable dog grooming in Brighton, right? Have the titles for the robot to be like, okay, this is about this key term. Accountants, accountant, right? Whatever the term is, make it easy for that robot, right? Because then it's going to essentially take less money from you than it would from somebody else. On the first month or the second month of running the Google ad campaign, Google draws a little graph for you where it actually tells you that, hey, against these competitors, your ad is actually more effective. Now, that doesn't mean that you're getting more visitors, you're getting more traffic. It just means that if all of these competitors are spending $5, you will get more for your $5 if your little graph is higher than the rest. It actually shows your competitors. A big competitor, a big brand running ads is Jim's Cleaning in the cleaning space, right? So if you turn on a Google ad campaign for a cleaning business, whether it's residential, whether it's commercial, you will have that Jim's Cleaning little icon just breathing down your neck or above you. They're running quite good ads. So what that little chart will show you is how effective your campaign is, meaning how much you're paying per click versus others. So what I'm trying to say is everyone pays a different cost per click and a different cost per conversion based on the experience. So if our hit rate is 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 people clicked our ad, visited our landing page, watched all the videos, spent 5 minutes or 10 minutes on that page, called the number, inquired, they're all the signals that Google will appreciate, and then our cost per click will reduce. Generally speaking, I always say it takes 3 to 4 months to get a stable or a more stable cost per lead or cost per click. We've got campaigns that have been running for over 3 years, and we're still refining the key terms every single month. We're refining the negative key terms. We're constantly changing the landing page. Something as simple as a color of a button, that the inquire button, or just the main title, can change cost per click and cost per lead. It's crazy. It's awesome. I love it. Should you run, or should you try to run Google Ads easy mode? In other words, Google Ads, they call it smart mode now. So I'm not sure but there are 2 versions of Google Ads. There is the one click, done for you, happy days, easy mode Google Ads. I think they've changed the name a few times to make it sound more smart and AI-ish. And then there's the AdWords expert mode, which is the hectic interface. It's got more buttons than Photoshop. If you've ever seen Photoshop or Adobe Premiere Pro or anything that creates complex things, that's what Google Ads expert mode looks like. So I've ran $10 million worth of Google Ads in the last few years, and I'm here to share what works for us. And this is a very common question or a common scenario that I see where these one-click, easy setup Google Ad accounts are just failing, and everyone is hating on Google Ads because they don't work. So do I recommend you firing one of these up? Yeah, sure, fire it up. Especially if you've never ran Google Ads in the past. Set one of these up, because you're actually going to learn a lot. You're going to learn some basics. You're going to learn cost per click. You're going to learn keyword targeting. You're going to learn the basics. And that's actually helpful for somebody like me or another agency that you may contact in the future, because you might need some professional help, and you'll know at least a little bit about Google Ads, and that will help whoever get you up to speed quicker. So I guess I'm recommending it because I want you to go down the learning experience. I want you succeed after you fail, right? You can succeed without failing, but you will make a more educated decision after you've experienced it and tried to, I guess, noob your way through it yourself. So we all start somewhere. So yeah, I do recommend you fire up your own Google Ad smart campaign. You can try the expert mode later on, because you're going to learn cost per click. You're going to learn keyword targeting. Hopefully you're going to learn negative keywords. You might learn the importance of creating a landing page. You'll also learn that Google Ad smart mode, or Google Ads in general, can spend the money on your credit card faster than my wife at Chadstone in an hour. Google Ads easy mode is like visiting Crown Casino as someone that just wants to just check out what the slot machines are like, or sit down at the poker table. What do you think is going to happen? So Google Ads easy mode, just like Crown Casino, is very welcoming, very easy interfaces, buttons, and everything is, I wouldn't say everything is flashy, but everything is simple and calm. On Crown Casino, it's not. There's all these flashy lights and bad analogy. Google Ads will entice you with all of the potential traffic that you might receive. If you give us $50, we'll send you 50 visitors, hypothetically. But if you remember my analogy, not all keywords are made equal, right? So if we're bidding on what is the time, or free tree removal, that keyword we don't want, but free tree removal is going to be a very cheap keyword. So just like in Crown Casino, where you're going to have these big banners saying how much money you can win, just give us a little bit, give us a little bit. Gambling in a nutshell, right? The Google ad will show you your potential visitors that you might receive. And look, ultimately, they do want you to win. They do want you to succeed, because if you succeed, you will keep spending money with them, right? The issue that you're going to run in with a Google ad easy mode campaign is that in any competitive space, you're up against possibly 100 agencies like mine that are running Google ad expert mode and have done so for many years, that have already got the precise targeting that they need, and you're essentially getting the leftovers with the simplified Google ads. So you might see things like cost per click is 50 cents or 20 cents, but when the visibility that you may not have is where exactly did that money go? So you have that visibility on the expert mode, you don't probably have that visibility on the easy mode. I guess the gist of what I'm trying to say is unwanted keywords will be cheap. And a lot of the time in the first few weeks and the first few days, you'll be looking at it like, yeah, traffic, I'm getting traffic. But eventually get to a point where, okay, we've actually spent a little bit of money here. I've received no inquiries. And that's the next phase, is how do we track success? A lot of those campaigns won't set up conversion tracking for you. So conversion tracking is where we can attribute this money that we're giving Google to a phone call that we're receiving, or a lead that's come through via email or via the web form or another means of contact, right? So it's attribution and tracking that success of this mini project that we're running. So I'm not saying these don't work. I can see that in a rural town where there's only 3 other builders or 3 other arborists, and 2 of them might not be running Google ads, absolutely. If you fire up that ad campaign and you bid for tree removal or home builder, electrician, whatever that term is, chances are you'll start appearing at the top. So moral of the story, Google Ads expert mode is like the full version, and Google Ads easy mode, the smart mode, is like a trial. Limited buttons, limited visibility, limited things that you can do. So the main difference between Google Ads easy mode or smart mode and expert mode is easy mode is like a trial with limited buttons, limited visibility. Easy mode, the smart mode, the term smart, we've got to be careful with it, because you're essentially allowing the Google algorithm to go to town with your credit card and what it feels are the right terms. That means that you might be spending money on unwanted key terms. Things like whatever your service might be, add the word free before it, or add the word job after it. Cleaning jobs, home building jobs. We don't want that. That's a super basic explainer. And yes, you can throw in some negative keywords, but you should also have a look at what broad match keywords are, what exact match keywords are. And that's where the beauty of Google Ads comes to life. So one of the hardest things, and it's still a huge challenge to us, is how we restrict Google on your spend. So we only want that money to go to precise key terms that have the right intent that we need. And so the hard part with Google is absolutely limiting and laser target on those key terms. So with Google Ads, less is more. We do not want Google to start coming up with all sorts of synonyms and variations of key terms and adding other key terms before and after. I'm not saying that doesn't work. In fact, you'll get traffic, you'll show up. It's just that up against agencies that have got this ironed out and know that the term tree removal is all that you need for an arborist, or stump removal, and take them out to a stump removal page, hypothetically, or a builder that only wants dual occupancy builds. We only bid on dual occupancy key terms. We don't want luxury builder. We don't want custom homes. We don't want that. Even though that's a great term to show up for a builder, this campaign is about dual ox, duplex, whatever you want to call it. This campaign is about Bayside in Melbourne, hypothetically. We only want to show up there. We only want to dominate these key terms. And we only want to send them to a page that will have only dual occupancy case studies. So here's all of the builds that we've done. We've done 10 builds, 20 builds. It actually doesn't matter how many builds you've done. As long as you can portray on that landing page that you are experienced, you are trustworthy, you've been around, and you'll get that inquiry that'll come through. You'll get that phone call. Hey, I'm looking to build in this suburb. We're already some way through. I see these inquiries all day, every day. We've got all the data ourselves. So in a nutshell, the hard thing about running Google Ads is limiting Google's ability to run wild with your credit card. I feel that's where most campaigns that I've seen fail. Also, not having a dedicated sales page that is relevant to that key term is another reason why I see campaigns fail. And none of that is properly possible with this easy mode smart campaign. Now, once again, I still highly recommend you, if you've never ran Google Ads and you're on the fence, is to fire up the smart campaign and just learn. But the expectation that you need to know is that you're going up against established agencies, established brands with big budgets that have ironed out exactly the keywords that they need. So your Google Ad easy mode is going to be picking up the crumbs, the leftovers, the unwanted terms that will be $1 per click, $2 per click. That's cheap, right? Unwanted things are cheap. When we narrow down a campaign for an accountant, for example, some of those clicks are $30, right? And the client will be like, hey, this campaign, my old campaign was $2 a click, $3 a click, 50 cents a click. Why yours all of a sudden $30 a click? That's why it was your old campaign, because it didn't succeed. So Google will never miss out on an opportunity to bill. Google knows that this key term, this precise term, is the one that brings the most leads because it's got all the data for 23 years. It sees the engagements. So it's about finding that key term, driving them to a page that proves your brand is trustworthy on the topic. I can recommend some Google Ads courses. I'll provide them in the links of this video. Isaac Rudansky has a really good, pretty cheap course on Udemy. I think it's $20 or something like that. It's a great starting place if you'd like to learn how to run Google Ads yourself. So, conversion tracking for Google Ads is a must. Now, I've spent $10 million in the last few years on Google Ads. I'm here to share what I've learned, so hopefully you don't need to make the same mistakes that we did. Conversion tracking, what is it? If you're going to throw money at a campaign, you want to track profitability. You want to track what did that lead actually cost me. So, before you even set up conversion tracking or before you even fire up a Google ad, you need to understand your average customer value, average client value, whatever it is that you want to call it, because you need to understand how much possible revenue you might get, how much profit you'll receive if you'll receive 10 of the most average inquiries that sell 10 of your most average service or product. You need to have that figure in mind. It's not something you need to share with me or agency, but you need to know your numbers. So that means that when you do fire up an ad like this and you do set up something like conversion tracking, you can confidently see that, hey, this ad is actually positively geared. That's good. A lot of ads that I run, especially in the early days, are negatively geared. Some ads that we ran for a few years are still negatively geared. When you're attributing that we've spent, let's say, I'm going to jump to a private school. A private school, it fluctuates throughout the year, but a private school might spend from $85 to $150 per a inquiry. Now that's just an inquiry, it's not an enrollment. But every second inquiry or third, we found booked a tour. So it's a never-ending numbers game, and you should know your numbers. Now, if that student, if that parent books with a private school, I wonder if that's positively geared or not. A builder, a home builder might spend $100 per lead. Now, the buying process to go ahead with construction, the plans, the permits, that can go for 6 months. It could go for a year, but you might need 5 of those inquiries. You might need 10 of those inquiries. That's $1,000 given to Google Ads for a booked build. You work it out from there. Now, campaigns that I've seen are not positively geared in my experience. Any competitive campaign may not be initially positively geared, but there's something called return business. So pest control, for example, those leads, depends on the season, depends on what's going on with insects and rats and things like that. But a inquiry might cost $85, and in some seasons it might jump to $150. Now, that might be a basic remove a rat from my roof and you're in and out. Now that could have come at 2 a.m. So a bit of a more emergency, so you can bill a bit more for it. Or it can appear to be a termite infestation, right? And you need some more comprehensive services. So all of a sudden, the $150 cost per lead is worth it. That could be positively geared. But I want you to look at it also where the perfect example is the dentists, where they will almost give out free teeth whitening. But have you noticed it's always like $50 or $100 or some sort of an offer? It's a huge loss to the dental practice. But you come in and they give you this amazing experience. They're gentle and they're inspecting your teeth and telling you, hey, you've got these problems. It's mechanics offering you free, cheap, this inspections. They're there to inspect the problems so they can then solve those problems, right? And find new problems that will bring them more revenue. So same with this. If you deliver a good service and you care for the customer, you might make a loss on the initial job, but you might leave that little magnet on their fridge for that return business then to not cost you anything, or for them to refer you to their friends, family. And that's how I received all of my inquiries over the years. We haven't ran a single Google ad for our agency. In fact, I'm trying to de-optimize our website to be hidden from Google, because when you apply the care that we apply to our campaigns, and where we're careful in the onboarding and set realistic expectations, people not only stick around, but they refer us. It's the same with Google Ads. So if I'm reading out some costs per lead, so an arborist in Melbourne, much more competitive. They will, at the moment, our campaigns are sitting from it went as low as $35 per lead at an arborist in Melbourne. It's currently sitting at $65 per lead. Almost exactly the same campaign in Perth will go as low as $15 a lead, depending on the season. So less arborists in Perth. Perth is a much smaller city than Melbourne, so less competitive. The cost of entry to market for Google Ads in that space is much less. Concrete pumping is about $20 a lead right now. English, maths, VCE tutors, they range based on season, obviously school starts and term starts and things like that. But the average, I think we spent about 50 grand on this particular campaign. We've got $72 a lead as the average. So sometimes it drops to $40 a lead and sometimes it goes to $120 a lead. Now that could be a phone call, it could be an email, it could be a web form. A builder pays $100. Garden maintenance at the moment is $23 a lead. CCTV security systems, they range. Sometimes they'll go to almost $200 a lead, but we are paying for commercial terms. So we all can imagine that different terms bring different revenues to certain businesses. The term commercial implies that it might be a large warehouse, it might be a multi-story building where the jobs are much more serious. So CCTV will jump to $200 a lead at the moment, sitting at $125. Pest control is constantly up and down, $70 to $150, depending on the campaigns that we run. So we'll do maybe dead animal removal, or we might do termite inspections and general pest control. So they're all separate campaigns, separate landing pages, separate ad copy, separate call to actions. The list goes on. Music lessons is $20 right now. Really cool thing about music, every industry is different. Sometimes they prefer to fill out that web form, and then we've set that up for you to receive the SMS. You receive an SMS on your phone, that way you can jump on it straight away. You got to jump on these leads straight away. But on music lessons, it's really interesting. People prefer to call. So the cost for web form fill out is like through the roof. And it was initially like, wow, what's going on here? But then we looked at the calls, and the calls were through the roof in terms of the amount of calls. And the calls go for 60 seconds. We can't listen to the calls, but Google tracks basically how long that call lasted for. So most campaigns that we take over have no proper conversion tracking set up. I probably can say, I don't want to say all, but most. Conversion tracking can be in the form of some sort of an action taken with the ad or on the website that delivers a lead, a phone call. It's not so much they watch the video and that's the conversion. No, it's they watched the video and then they inquired. They filled out the form. They pressed the number and they hung around on that phone call for 30 seconds or 60 seconds. That's when we consider them a conversion. We cannot track if someone has decided to put your number into the phone and dial. We cannot track if someone searched for your email, didn't click and simply threw your email address into Outlook or an email provider. So that's on you to ask those questions. Hey, how did you find out about us? a lot of the time they'll just say online. Online could be anything. I found you through Google Maps. It could be anything. It could be Google Ads. It could also be Facebook ads, but they'll still say online. But most things can be tracked, and that's where we have visibility on the campaign and profitability of the campaign for you, and we know if it's positively geared or not. Now, I generally set expectations that it takes us 3 to 4 months to get a somewhat stable cost per inquiry, right? We know the cost per inquiry instantly the moment the first inquiry comes, but you want to give it some budget, you want to give it some time for it to stop fluctuating around, and that then gives you visibility on, hey, is this positively geared? Can we just ramp up the budget to $5,000 a day? Because if it's producing a positive result, then you're multiplying, you're making money on that $5,000. Hopefully that makes sense. Google Ads myths, misconceptions, realities. So I've spent $10 million in the last few years running Google Ads. I've spent more than 20,000 hours running Google Ads, creating landing pages, building websites, ranking websites, running Facebook ads, you name it. I love digital marketing. I find it really rewarding. Most of that $10 million went into local business campaigns. There were some campaigns that spent up to $70,000 a month, $70,000 in one city to big national clients. But mostly I find rewarding are the smaller businesses, the one-man bands, the tradies, the small medical practices, the dentists, not in the CBD, nothing in too dense areas. So we're quite selective with who we take on these days. So I'm here to chat about some myths in Google Ads. So the first one being, I get this a lot, Google Ads is too expensive. Yeah, if you have no idea of your average client value, then you have no idea what is expensive and what is cheap. Know your numbers in the business. Whatever service it is that you offer, you should know how much profit you will make on that service. You should know, these could be just rough figures, okay? But let's pick on, I don't know a lot of figures of how much my clients bid, but let's hypothetically say that an arborist gets a job to prune a small hedge for an old lady, right? I don't feel that might be a big profitable job. Now that old lady might recommend them to the neighbor. That neighbor might have 10 palm trees. So all of a sudden, you probably didn't make any money, or it's not positively geared on the first job that you paid quite a lot of money with Google Ads to receive. But then the second job, the referral, there were 10 palm trees. Now that's something that you can bill accordingly for. With dentists, right? The term teeth whitening, you might have to spend a couple of $100 to get someone in on a cheap teeth whitening service. Teeth whitening is usually like a loss-leading product, the product that you lose money on, but you get a client through the door, seeing how clean your place is, seeing how nice everyone is, everyone's smiling, how gentle everybody is. So they're like, okay, you know what? I'll consider these guys if I'm now in emergency pain and I need teeth extraction, or I need this and this. That then brings quite a lot more revenue to the business. So Google Ads is too expensive. Yeah, if you don't know your numbers, then you can say it's too expensive, but I can also argue that it's too cheap. You just need to know how much money you will make if you land this business. So then you can understand, right, at cost per lead, I'm happy to throw $70, $100 at Google if I know that gets me a booked seat, a product sold, a service offered. Here's another one, another myth. Only large businesses with big budgets can succeed. No, wrong, okay? It's no longer a game of budgets. It's a game of bidding on certain key terms. You could have monster companies that have, let's say, $1 million to throw at this one keyword. That keyword might be accounting software. It could be any keyword, right? The little guy will still have an opportunity. Yes, the more people bidding, the more people spending, the more expensive those key terms will be. So like a home auction, the more people that rock up and want to buy the house, the more bids there might be, the higher that house might go for. It's exactly the same as Google Ads. But the beauty is that Google will give the little guy a chance. If his budget is only $100, Google will take exactly $100. Just you might receive 3 clicks or 1 click for that $100. Now, hopefully that $100 gets you an inquiry. Hopefully that $100 gets you a booked job, right? So anyone can run Google Ads. There is definitely a cost of entry to market. So you need to have that expectation. Look, generally in any competitive space, choose the key term that brings the right profit to your business, that brings the right value. So might be something like commercial security cameras or commercial gardening services, right? So that the intent there, the term commercial, is bigger businesses. But hey, you better be ready to prove that you're trustworthy, that you're capable to those bigger businesses. Cost per click will most likely be more. Another myth with Google Ads is you need to bid big and you need to be the highest bidder to get seen. No, absolutely not. Right, the Google Ads over the last 23 years has evolved so much. It literally used to be that whoever has more money gets more. These days you still have whoever has more money will get more clicks. However, if Google decides that your page, that your ad is not relevant to the key term, it just will not run it. So a good analogy here is we want to bid on the term dogs and our ad is about cats. Google won't let us run it. Or another way to explain it is it's about dogs, our ad is about cats. Google, let's say hypothetically, they do allow you to run it. You land on that cat page, it's irrelevant, you back out. Google is going to start taking more money from you for the same click that someone else might be spending less. Another example might be, let's say you're a home builder and you're just starting out. You're going up against other home builders that have a landing page which shows 20 builds that they've done over the last few years. It shows 50 Google reviews. So they're generally factors that help with conversions. So when you have a lot of proof of work, you'll have more inquiries, right? The builds and the experience show themselves. So safe to say that builder will get more inquiries. And so when Google realizes that the engagement of that ad is better than this new builder that's starting out that has no case studies, no Google reviews, that builder with experience will be paying less per click. But I've seen this go the other way many times, where you have big companies with poorly set up Google Ads, and our little guy campaign, small business campaign is absolutely ruining them. So the things that I've learned over the years is the bigger the company, the more the disconnected the communications are, the less care is applied to certain elements of the landing page, to certain elements of the ad campaign. Whereas with small business campaigns, little small budgets and sole traders, it's more rewarding, and so more care is applied in those campaigns. And almost all of our campaigns for a small business that might spend $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month, which that might sound like a lot of money to you, but they're relatively small campaigns to the big boys. Our small campaigns perform better than the big corporates. There's more care that's gone into this. So the landing page that we've constructed has more, let's call it passion. We've displayed the builder's face. We've displayed a video. So they might be just starting out. They might only have 3 case studies, but those case studies are in more depth, in more detail. So we will get a videographer out. We will get a photographer out. We will get the builder on camera. And that landing page might show much, much less experience overall, has a higher chance to convert than these big boys with a poorly set up landing page and less trust signals. So both can win and both can lose. So you don't need a huge budget to get started with Google Ads. You just need to understand, I've got 2 Kavuls in my room. I've been filming for about an hour, and only now do they start this. You done? Are you done? Do you want to tell them? Tell them what you really think. Stella, come here. Stella, let's go. Julio, this is Julio. Julio's not the one making the noise. Julio, can you say a few words? Stella, this is Julio. Come on, tell us what you really think. Come on. Oh my God, you're heavy. This is Stella. I'm glad the microphone was there because that is good acoustics. Stella, tell us what you really think about the South Cuban Madagascan crisis. Anything, Stella? Now, can you help us out? What are we talking about here? Okay, another myth with running Google Ads. Broad keywords always work the best. Jeez. So some people believe that using broad keywords will generate more traffic. That's true. Stella, you done? I'm going to let it go. So that is true. When you run a broad match keyword, a broad match keyword is essentially where you give, let's say it's a builder, the term builder, or home construction. A broad match keyword means Google is allowed to do things with that term and pick synonyms, add key terms before, add key terms after. And hey, the intent of a keyword changes when you add the word free or jobs or course to the front or end of a certain key term. So, you know what? That myth is true. If you run a broad match keyword, you will get more traffic. But more traffic doesn't necessarily mean more inquiries. So if you want more brand awareness and more traffic to your website, you win. That's the right way to do it. We don't run those campaigns. You can set those up yourself. So you will get more traffic, you'll get more awareness, you just may not convert any visitors. Another myth with Google Ads is that you can set up a Google ad campaign and let it run itself. I've spent more than $10 million on Google Ads in the last few years. You can fire up a Google ad campaign and just let it go, and it runs itself. But no, it depends on your expectations. If you're happy to just wash money down the drain, a Google ad needs weekly, monthly care in three areas: keyword targeting and negative keyword targeting. So based on numbers and based on conversions, based on how people are engaging with your ad, the keyword sculpting never ends. Now, if you find an ad agency that has a lot of experience in a certain industry, they will have those numbers ready to go. So chances are they're able to succeed with a campaign that they have more experience on, just like anything else, right? If a home builder is a specialist on a certain type of construction, they will have more answers, they will have more experience in that area. So a Google ad, once set up, needs constant sculpting of the key terms. It needs constant sculpting of the landing page that you're sending the traffic on. Eventually, once you narrow down which titles work, which buttons look best, you can leave that. You get to the lowest cost per lead, and you might want to hold on to that. If the average cost per lead in this industry is $70 to $100, and we're sitting on 20, absolutely, we're not going to touch that. So it's a never-ending game of looking at the numbers and determining what to do. Sometimes we'll decide that a certain keyword will get its own landing page, so to have a better chance of converting. If I go back to a builder analogy, a builder that wants luxury builds should have a page only with luxury builds. Don't show them basic bathroom renovations. That's what people do. They literally build a page, they load up everything, and they'll just say, we want Google Ads for these terms. So the builder or the client dictate the terms to us, what keywords they want to pay for. No, you want to do that, I can help you set up a free Google Ads Smart account, and you can do that. The way we work is you'll tell me the kind of business that you want to take on more of. Let's say it's luxury builds. We will only bid on luxury keywords. So if someone's looking for a home builder, general home builder, we won't bid on that term. We only want the term luxury or the term bathroom renovations. We just take them to a page that has a track record of bathroom renovations, Google reviews, and pictures of before and afters. If you're just starting out and you have no case studies, you haven't captured your media, then you're going to have to settle for possibly stock video, stock images before and afters. Hopefully you've got some Google reviews. But the moral of the story is you constantly need to be working on your ad copy, Google Ads, landing page, keywords. There's a whole bunch of other things that are sculpted on a monthly basis of a Google Ads campaign. So another myth of Google Ads is negative key terms are not important. I hear that time to time, makes me cringe. We have to limit Google's ability to take your credit card downtown. Negative keywords are one of the ways we do that. In other words, feeding Google key terms that we do not want, and precisely do not want. The term free, jobs, courses. We have a list of 3,000 of these key terms. Every one of our campaigns has a unique set of these negative key terms. It takes us months of every campaign to build up those negative key terms. So an example of negative key terms in action is things like name any pest control, right? We want that key term, but we don't want free pest control. We don't want pest control jobs, pest control courses. What's really difficult is when the competitor business name is John's Pest Control, right? Over time, the more we run that ad over weeks and months, when our money goes to John's Pest Control, we have to hit a negative on John's. Now, what we generally do, we'll make a big list of competitors and we'll add those competitors into the negative keywords list. We'll ask the client, hey, off the top of your head, please list as many competitors as you possibly can. So we limit Google taking your money on a term that we do not want. We don't want to bid on competitor terms, so their competitor brand term. A lot of people do it. I don't like it. It's just the wrong intent. We've seen this play out many times where one competitor will bid on our brand name and vice versa, and the type of calls that you get, and people just get misled by it. I know we just went down a bit of a path, but basically what I'm trying to say is negative keywords, make up for a big chunk of the Google ad campaign. And if the negative keywords are not in there, the campaign most likely is going to be, I don't want to call it a failure, because it really depends on, do we have enough inquiries? Have we closed enough business for the client to be happy and profitable? If you could do that without negative keywords, hey, you don't need an agency like me. It just means you are in a non-competitive space. But keywords definitely don't not matter. So negative keywords is like just allowing my wife to just buy whatever the things that in any store of Chadstone, whereas we want a bad analogy, I'm going to get in trouble for this. Hopefully that makes sense. So in a nutshell, I've ran $10 million worth of Google ads in the last few years. Generally, our campaigns kick off by setting clear goals. What is the service that we want to be selling? Ideally, we start with one. We double down on that one, make that profitable, move to the next. So we set clear goals for the ad campaign. What is it that we're looking for? More phone calls, web inquiries. It might be a booking form online. From there, we essentially research the key terms and the intent behind that key term. So we narrow down what are the key terms that will bring us the right client, which brings us revenue and profitability. So from there, we create ad copy in two ways. Ad copy of the visual ad that appears on Google, and also copy of the landing page and the construction of the landing page that will convert on those limited key terms that we will bid on with Google. So less is more with key terms. We don't want to throw thousands of key terms in there for Google to go to town with your credit card and eat your budget within an hour. It doesn't matter how much you're spending. So then we generally use things like extensions with Google Ads that put the phone number so people can call you straight from the Google ad. If you're trustworthy, if your brand is known, people might just call you straight away. Or people have an urgent problem, an emergency electrical issue, plumbing issue, locksmith and things like that. Whatever's at the top, people will generally click. These days there's enough trust there. We will always monitor our ads on a weekly and monthly basis. And what we do, we customize the ad spend on a weekly and monthly basis, depending on performance, depending on conversion. And we're constantly evolving both the ad copy of the Google ad and the landing page. It's a never-ending game of sculpting. We're also this literally never ends, negative keywords. There are unlimited combinations of the way somebody might search for what you do, and with that comes unlimited combinations of searches we do not want that bring us the wrong clients. We don't want to offer our services for free. So the term free is a really basic keyword. We don't want to offer jobs in that space. So the term jobs, for someone looking for the job, we don't want those clicks. That's useless. They're going to click on our website, they're going to click on our page and realize, hold on, there's no job for me here. See you later. But your money's wasted. Hopefully that makes sense.